Okay, folks, for the benefit of getting started on time at 6:01, we'll kind of go through, we have a couple different presentations, but I'm on first here. And we're first going to talk a little bit about the bond, construction bond. But first I'd like to recognize the fact that our district is very focused on some very important issues, and the bond is something that will move these various areas of focus forward. Graduation matters Shelton, the target being 100% graduation, student achievement for all students, raising test scores. We've put that front and center. We've discussed it with all the staff, all the schools, and we are focused on making sure that we do everything possible to increase student achievement across the board, reduce failure rates, and to raise test scores. Our professional development focus is, again, supporting our #1 target, and that is to make sure that all students graduate. And we're going to do that through differentiated instruction and language acquisition, dealing with individual issues pertaining to the way students learn. We're going to increase attendance 90% in all schools, and that's happening as we speak. Our last attendance, Bob, was 91, 92, almost 92%, right? So we're moving forward in that regard. Maintaining a safe and secure teaching and learning environment. Next week, our new Director of Safety and Security will be on the job, and we're very excited about that. And we are focused on making sure that our students and staff and parents and community are safe in our schools. And of course, capitalizing on our staff and community strengths to continue moving our schools into the 21st century. For example, our Health Science Academy at Shelton High School, we're formulating an advisory committee. We were sending our staff to, we sent our staff to Nashville, Tennessee to take a look at academies and different programs. And our next trip is to Tampa, correct?
Correct.
We're sending another group of teachers and administrators to that. So we're moving forward in regards to all of our areas of focus. The major areas of focus for the bond: reconfiguring our grade levels, alleviating overcrowding, creating 21st century schools, and making safety and security a top priority. Reconfiguration. We'll start with the high school. We want to move the 9th grade students back to Shelton High School. And in doing so, we need to accommodate more than 350 new students if and when the bond passes. A new 2-story addition will be added, 26 new classrooms. The 500 and 600 buildings will be vacated. All portables will be removed. A new auxiliary gym will be built. We're one of the few high schools in the area not to have a second gym. So that's a great need, especially as we move the 9th graders to the high school. There's no question we would need another gym. A new roof on the student union building, new windows and paint, and improved safety and security. Next, we would build a new elementary school, a 45,000 square foot building. All elementary schools, if this were to go forward, would be K4 rather than K5. Olympic Middle School would serve grades 5 and 6. Oakland Bay Junior High would serve grades 7 and 8, and these would be intermediate schools. Mountain View Annex, the preschool, will be modernized and portables will be removed. Alleviating overcrowding. The following will help alleviate overcrowding and achieve smaller class size, which is important in terms of instructional improvement and student achievement for all. So, a new elementary school. All elementary schools would serve K4 students. Additional space added at Shelton High School. And intermediate schools, as I mentioned, would serve students grades 5 through 8. And what we're hoping there is that grades K8 will have additional articulation of program. We would increase communication between staff and parents, and we would prepare our students for a successful experience at a 4-year high school. Creating a 21st century learning environment. Our goal would be to move our schools, not only in terms of facilities, but in terms of program, to support a 21st century teaching and learning environment. We would try to create multi-use class-to-class collaboration and evolution of curriculum over time, enhance technology in every school to help our students compete in the 21st century world. Safety and security. As I mentioned, our new Director of Safety and Security will be on board next week, and her task, Karen DeWitt, she's a Shelton High School graduate, her main task will be to develop a comprehensive safety and security plan for all of our schools, and to also implement and organize a district approach towards safety and security to support our schools. Along with that, when the bond passes, or if it passes, we'll have state-of-the-art technology in our schools too, in terms of safety and security. Here's a closer look at reconfiguration. This is the way we're situated currently. We have 3 elementary schools, K-5, and in parentheses is the current enrollment, or it's close to that enrollment. At OMS, OBJH, Choice High School and Shelton High School, that's the way we're configured currently, a 3-year high school, grades 6 and 7, 8 and 9 at the middle school and junior high. And then when the bond passes, we're going to go to, again, K-4 elementaries, intermediate schools that house 5th and 6th and 7th and 8th graders, and we would move to a 4-year high school. Pioneer and Hood Canal would spend, well actually they're at OBJH for 1 year, and then they go to Shelton High School. Southside currently spends 2 years at the junior high and then goes to the high school. The bond passes, Pioneer and Hood Canal will go directly to Shelton High School, 4-year high school. Southside, they'd spend 1 year at Oakland Bay and then to the high school. So we reduced the number of transitions. And here's the cost of proposed building improvements. As you can see, the total is $64,778,000. Every school in the Shelton School District will be impacted by the bond. Various upgrades, repairs, and additions will be included. Here are some of the needs at Bordeaux, $1,090,000. Mountain View Elementary, of course, $24,500,000, building a new school. Now you have to figure what we're doing for almost $65 million, we're impacting 7 buildings. And I think you've probably heard me mention this before, they're building high schools that are over $150 million. In fact, Stanwood School District is building a high school, or they're proposing a new high school that's $147 million, one building. So for $65 million, we're getting quite a bit done in our school district. Olympic Middle School, repair and replace the roof. That roof in itself, we've had estimates of over $1 million to replace the roof. Things aren't cheap these days. There you see what we would do at Oakland Bay for almost $2.5 million. Choice, $1,220,000. Shelton High School, almost $30 million. Provide 26 new classrooms, a total of 41,850 square feet. New administration and conference spaces, new auxiliary gymnasium, and you can see some of the other things that we would do to improve the high school setting. You know, I've mentioned this quite a few times. I drive by Shelton High School on a rainy day like this, And I see our students during lunchtime underneath eaves so they won't get rained upon, or sitting on benches and the rain is pouring down. Our kids need better than that. Here are some other district priorities that would be dealt with. Resurfacing the pool deck, new family facility restrooms and changing rooms, ADA upgrades, the track, we would replace the track, replace the light fixtures, and we'd really spend time evaluating the stadium itself in terms of safety. Make sure that the bleachers are in good shape. Other district priorities, we demolish the old unused buildings at the maintenance site and create new parking, paint the exterior of the main building, transportation, you can see what we would do there. The child care center, provide a new portable with playground, and that's a huge need. Now, the tax impact. Taxpayers currently pay $1.75 per thousand evaluation for the bond that was passed in 2001. If the bond is passed by voters on February 14, 2017, the cost of the taxpayer in 2018 is estimated at an additional $1.81 per thousand per assessed value, for a total of $3.56 per $1,000 evaluation. However, the district will restructure the bonds so that in 4 years, 2022, the rate per thousand will level out to approximately $2.75, with slight variations in subsequent years depending on home values and the tax base. The district cannot collect more than the total amount approved by the voters. Estimated tax rates are determined by property values and the growth or decline of the tax base. And there you see an example for a $100,000 property all the way through $500,000. But again, I think it's important to recognize that the total with the bond that was passed in 2001 with the bond that we're talking about for 2017, it would be $3.56. And then level out at approximately $2.75. Of course, some people will qualify for a tax exemption. Now, any questions on the bond? Some of you have heard this a few times, so probably don't have any questions. Okay, the replacement levy. It will replace the expired tax. The current levy expires December 31st, 2017. The replacement levy is exactly what it is. The replacement levy would begin January 1, 2018. If the replacement levy passes, we will get matching funds from the state, $3 million per year, but only if it passes. If it doesn't pass, we get zero. The levy provides about 18.75% of the district's budget. That's huge. These dollars support all or a part of many educational programs and services in addition to the maintenance of facilities. The levy really helps us move the district forward on a daily basis. It's like running your house. You need a checkbook or a way to obtain cash to take care of your home. That's what the levy does for us. And there is the levy collection amounts, the same amount of money in 18, 19, and 20. The assessed valuation decreases somewhat. And this is risky also because we haven't increased it. And as we all know, life gets more expensive each and every year. But with making sure that we're doing the right things, I think we'll be fine. And here's what the levy pays for. Classroom teachers and assistants, learning support and alternative education, classroom furniture, teacher training, summer school, technology support, transportation expenses, including fuel, libraries, nursing services, coaches and advisors, athletics and activities. So you can see that if the levy does not pass, it would be very hurtful across the board in terms of all programs, in the classroom and the co-curricular program. The swimming pool, high school auditorium costs, school safety and security, community use of facilities would have to be limited. Scheduled major maintenance, management of the district's preventative maintenance plan, energy efficiency, and upkeep and repair of facilities and grounds. That's the replacement levy. Questions? Pretty straightforward. Brenda, any comments? Linda, anybody? Robert?
I think it's just, it's amazing that we can be all these things that are funded, and this would not be an increased tax burden for taxpayers. It's just, we really need the community support.
Pat, anything? Thank you. John Gores, D.A. Davidson. We'll talk a little bit about the bond and the technicalities involved. John, it's very nice of you to drive from Seattle here to be with us.
Thank you very much. My role this evening is to share with you the assumptions that have been used to determine the tax rates and take a little bit of time to explain how property taxes actually work and what are some of the differences between how school districts collect taxes versus some of the other taxing entities such as fire districts or hospital districts. So whenever we design a bond issue for a school district, we have to make assumptions about 4 key areas. One of them is interest rates. It's not where interest rates are today. Where will they be a year from now or 2 years from now, depending on the bond structure? So for these bonds, what we've assumed is that interest rates, when we sell the first set of bonds in the spring of 2017, will be 1.25% higher than they are today. Which means if rates were 3% today, our calculations are based on interest rates of 4.25%. It's not that we believe interest rates will go up that much between now and then, but if they do, we want to make sure that we're achieving tax rates consistent with what the voters are expecting. And there's a lot of discussion these days about the Federal Reserve. When will they raise rates? How often will they raise rates? And so all that speculation has led to slightly higher interest rates, and we could have higher interest rates next spring. So this is just an assumption that we use just to protect the district to make sure that we can, again, achieve tax rates that have been communicated to the voters. We also assume for the second bond sale, which would occur in 2018, that interest rates would actually be 1.5% higher. Rates 3% today would be 4.5%. The next is about the bond rating. And a bond rating for a school district is very similar to an individual's credit rating. So the higher your credit rating, the lower your borrowing cost will be. Much like an individual's credit score, so the higher your credit score, the lower your borrowing cost. The district maintains a very strong bond rating of A1, and that's determined by a company called Moody's Investor Service. Some of you may have heard of them. They rate all issuers throughout the country, but in Washington, they're really the accepted standard for school bonds. So we're assuming the district will continue to maintain its A1. The next assumption is about your assessed valuation. And this is the moving target. So once you sell bonds, we lock in the interest rates, but what will change every year is your assessed valuation. What we're assuming for 2017 is the preliminary number we've received from the county that actually shows a small decline because one of the major buildings was taken off the tax roll. But we know that next year, the building will be rebuilt and back on the tax roll. So we're assuming a small bit of growth in 2018. Then we're looking at pretty marginal growth over the next several years, and then ramping up to 1.5% growth for the remainder of the bond. That's well below the district's historical average. Your 10-year growth rate has been about 3.3%, so we're using numbers just slightly less than half of that. Again, getting back to our goal of making sure that we achieve tax rates consistent with what the voters are expecting. And the last is the bond structure. We designed this to sell the bonds with one voter authorization, but two separate sales. And that's done to make sure that we provide funds as needed for the capital projects in a timely manner. The second thing is we're trying to put it in different tax years so we can mitigate the impact to the taxpayers. And then we've designed it so it drops in the future to allow for additional financing. So what I'll do now is to share with you interest rates. So these two graphs show the movement of interest rates. The one on the left, what's been going on the last 12 months, and the one on the right, a 25-year history. So the one on the left shows that yes, we've had an increase in rates, but rates are still lower today than they were a year ago. And that's further emphasized by the chart on the right. You'd have to go back over 30 years to find interest rates as low as what they are right now. So in terms of borrowing, it's a terrific time to be borrowing money because we are borrowing at interest rates at or slightly below 3%. But you can also see these charts, the volatility of interest rates. And that's why we've added that cushion of 1.25% to the first sale and 1.5% to the second sale. Your rating is A1. You can see the scale goes from AAA being the highest quality down to the BAA category. Between each one of those bond ratings is a different interest rate. So we want to try to get the highest bond rating we can, consistent with the guidelines by the rating agency. And the district has well managed itself. We believe that we'll maintain that A1 rating. One of the things I mentioned is that I provide you a little bit of an overview on how property taxes work. We did some survey research a number of years ago. It was a 500 sample size of registered voters throughout the state, asking them the question, as their home value goes up, does the school district collect more money? 68% of the voters responded yes. It's not true. It's simply not true for school districts. So when the school districts ask for a levy or a bond issue, they can only collect what was authorized by the voters. So if home values go up, it doesn't matter. They can only collect what was approved. So if home values do go up, and they can only collect what was approved, the rate per thousand goes down. And so what we try to show here on this chart is the value of your home as it relates to the growth of the tax base of the school district determines whether or not your tax bill will go up or go down. So if your home value grows at exactly the same percentage growth as the school district, the tax rate will go down, but now that tax rate's being applied to a home of greater value, so your tax bill stays the same. That's what you see in the first example, that if the school district grew 20% and your home went up 20%, your tax bill would be $500 just as it was in the earlier example. But if your home only went up 10% and the district went up 20%, then your tax bill would actually be lower. If you were fortunate to have your home go up 30%, where the district average was only 20, then your tax bill will go up. But collectively, the district cannot collect any more than what's been approved by the voters. But that is not true for fire districts and cities and hospitals. They levy a rate per thousand. So if property values go up and they're levying $1.50 per thousand, they collect more money, only up to 101% of the previous year. So there is a cap, but they do collect more, and that's not true for school districts. This is where we find a significant amount of misunderstanding on how property taxes work for school districts. Then we've tried to structure this bond in a way that again meets the construction timeline by having the 2 bond sales a year and a half apart. 1 voter authorization, but 2 bond sales. We've also structured that to make sure that it's in 2 different calendar years for tax collection. So district wants to try to mitigate the impact to the current taxpayers, but also provide flexibility for future financings. So you can actually see that the tax rate will drop in 2022 because a portion of your existing debt is paying off and now you're left just paying on the new debt. And then your current bonds will be totally paid off in 2023. And then this obligation goes to 2038. This graph might show it a little bit better, that the dark line is your existing bonds, and then the 2017, the first sale of bonds, and then the 2018 bonds. So you can see that as your old debt pays off, then we bring on some of the new debt, but still provide that flexibility in the future for tax rates to drop, to provide the district the opportunity to bring on more debt if necessary. And this is a chart that you saw before. So what this illustrates is what the cost is on various home values, both in the total increase and what it is monthly. So the $1.81 per thousand is the increase of what you're currently paying for bonds in 2016 for the total tax rate of $3.56. So again, when we design the financing plan, we hope we've made conservative assumptions so that we can deliver tax rates at or below what have been, would have been promised to the voters. And so keep our fingers crossed for interest rates. Anybody's guess where that will go, but we're enjoying extremely low interest rates as of now, and we hope that will continue at least for the near term. Questions?
Thanks, John. Appreciate it. So there you have it. Our bond and our replacement levy. The facts and figures, and the fact that our instructional program is key. It's foundational as we move forward on both initiatives, both the bond and the replacement levy. Any questions? That's all I have. That's what this was about today, the bond and the levy. Board members, any comments, questions?
This was very helpful to have the tax part walked through, and I can have that understanding that the rate would not go up as property went up, the same way that it does for fire in the city.
Right.
So that's very helpful to understand that. I think that would be
That's
useful to
extremely
broadly
important.
communicate.
You're right.
Yeah.
Schools just don't benefit from that. What time is it?
6:30.
Well, I have no other comments to make, and if you don't have any questions, that'll be it. Thank you very much. Good night.